What's going on, y'all? We are back. Episode 30 something of the Colorado Rockies Out of the Park Baseball 24 series. And I'm kind of going to speed run this season, and this will be our last season with the team. So we've already gone through the off season off camera. There wasn't a ton that happened. Well, there was. We signed Jared Kelly, who has been probably the best pitcher in baseball the last 4 seasons. Doesn't miss any time, and is overall um, been a great pitcher for the White Sox. We signed him to a massive deal, 6 years, 240 million. So he'll be our ace moving forward. I hate his jersey number. Let me go change that. Thought he was at 13 before, but it must have changed. Um, anyway, um, Jaime Cooper, Taylor Dollard, Christian Little, Chris Wood round out the rotation. Nothing really surprising there. We brought back Andres Munoz, 2 years, 27 million vesting option for year two. Pretty much, if he doesn't get hurt, he'll vest that most likely. Chevilla will be the closer. Philpott in the seventh inning. Then Ochoa, Rodriguez, Thompson are carryovers from last year. Joe Wallace, a guy who's out of options, hasn't really gotten a shot in the majors. He's got 2 games. So we're going to run with him and see what he does. And then Phil Cates, who's out of options as well. Um, I wanted to keep him around. Wasn't going to pass him through waivers. So another guy who hasn't had many opportunities in the majors, but he'll get an extended look here. As for our lineup, no big surprise in the starters. Harge makes the team, had a really good spring. Guadalupe Cordero had a really bad spring training, but um, he made the team. Trey Snyder will make it. He's out of options. There wasn't much of a trade market for him. Probably, lost my chance on that a while back. But he makes the team. I'm going to give him a run, see what he can do. And CJ Duncan will be our backup outfielder slash, like, a lot of infield positions. Um, these guys aren't playing a ton, but they'll play a little bit. As for other moves, international free agency, we went and got one guy. I was getting outbid on a bunch of guys, so I wound up settling for. Let's see what the quickest way to do this is. It was this guy, Jesus Felix, who's a really good defender, not the worst bat in the world. We'll see if he can develop. But yeah, there wasn't a ton of great guys, and I just kept getting outbid, and there was no more I can do. So I just wound up giving him a good amount. I think we might have signed another guy, but I don't even remember. I don't think it's worth going back and looking because these guys won't make an impact on the series anyway. So Juan Rivera, added him to the 40. He had a good spring, but didn't make the team. Down in the minors, Greg Melvin also had an awesome spring, but we just don't have a lot of roster spots. He'll be up at some point this year. Luis Corona had a really good spring as well. Just missed out on making the roster. We have some other prospects down here, but that's pretty much it. We're going to go through opening day here. Jared Kelly will be on the mound, our new ace. See what he can do against LA, and we win 3-2 against our division rivals. And Jared Kelly goes 8 innings, no runs. Chevilla gives up 2 in the ninth, but holds on for the win. Game 2, Jaime Cooper on the mound. We win 10-2. Development update. Christian Little got a nice boost. Wow, he looks like a hell of a pitcher now. He doesn't even want anything crazy. I might actually wind up signing him to that deal if I can clear up some money for next year. Yeah, a lot of minor league guys. Nothing huge here. Steve Boone continues to come along. Yeah, we'll go through this last game of the series. We'll hop to the next checkpoint after this. We win 10-2 in the second game. I forgot to go through this. Jaime Cooper, really good start. Joe Wallace comes in relief to finish it out. And we win 4-1 in the last game of the series. Sweep the Dodgers. Taylor Dollard, a nice start. Philpott to Chevilla to close it out. We'll go, we'll check in a little bit. We're gonna kind of speed run this season, so not gonna go through a ton of stuff, but maybe we'll come back beginning of June, maybe July-ish, and check in at that point. But we'll be back. All right, so we're back. It is June 11th. Rockies are 49-20. Got off to a pretty fabulous start to the year. Um, yeah, we were, I guess, 23 and 7 through March, through April and March, and then May we're 21 and 8. So just as good. And then, June we've stumbled a little bit, but we just swept the Padres in a pretty dominating fashion. So, um, what's been going on so far? So I guess we'll just go over big storylines. So the rotation's been mostly good. Christian Little's actually led the way, having an awesome season. He got the ratings boost this offseason, and pretty excited for him. But he wants a lot of money. Probably not going to bring him back. Not that it matters for the series. Jaime Cooper has struggled a bit, but the FIP and Sierra are more promising than the ERA. He's been a little bit better recently, but we might have to cut back his pitch count just in these games because he's getting hit a little bit, going pretty deep into games. So might try to use him more efficiently. Taylor Dollard got off to an outstanding start to the year. Um, Check out his April 6 starts, 1.41 ERA. May not quite as good, but June he's turned it back around. He's been awesome. Jared Kelly's been good, not great. 109 ERA plus. Certainly not what we thought we were getting. Um, but I mean, he's been okay. He's been okay, and that's kind of the best way I could describe him. Hopefully, he turns it around. And then Chris Wood, he's been really solid. I didn't mention this, but I did sign him to an extension. Again, doesn't matter for the series, but when I keep playing offline, he will have a 3-year extension that brings him through his age 31 season, I believe. So, in the hitting, we've had a ton of injuries, and we have 4 key guys on the IL currently. So Zach Bean just went down today. He was having an awesome year. 415 BABIP wasn't going to sustain, but I was playing him only at DH. I played him a couple games in right field, but he was DHing when he got hurt. But yeah, he was having an awesome year. Only 3 weeks, so he'll be back soon. But we're going to be missing him. Devon Jeanette has been out for about a week, but he was having an awesome year as well. I played him a little bit at shortstop because Cunningham was out. He wasn't quite as good there. So I'm just sticking him at second. I'll figure out something else at shortstop. We'll get to Cunningham in a second. But Connor Griffin went out with a fractured fibula. I think it was a 2 to 3 month injury. 2 to 3 months. He wasn't really any good when he was in there. A guy long term I'm going to look to replace, but we're missing him. And then George Wolkow went on the IL. It was only, it was a 2-week injury. Had a couple setbacks already, so we're definitely missing him at the moment. But I mean, the guys that have come in, it's been pretty phenomenal. The kind of production we've got. So we'll start with Jeff Word. He's been our MVP to this point. On pace for 9.1 WAR. Playing third base and first base, kind of split time evenly. When Wolkow went down, we played him at first. Cordero was also out, so we had a big, it was a lot to handle for the kind of infield we were putting out there. Because I think Cunningham missed some time. He's coming off a 6-hit game, by the way, after his average dropped to 241. So he's kind of salvaged his season here, but in one game. But he's been a big disappointment. But yeah, he was out. We had what's his name? We had Wolkow out, and we had and someone else was out. I don't remember. But we had like Rivera starting, who we called up, and it has been really good. His first 2 games in the majors were like fantastic. We called him up. I think this is his first game here. Yeah, he had 2 home runs, 4 RBIs in his first 2 games combined. And we called him up. He was playing a lot. We had Duncombe playing, who has been a disappointment this year, but he's so versatile. It's good to have him on the team. And then we wound up calling up Corona. He's been fantastic, although he's not hitting for any power, but he's batting 373. Absolutely crushing righties. Not really playing against lefties. I'm playing him every other day. I was playing him every other day against righties in left field. But with Melvin in left, and then we've had to move basically Melvin to DH. He's batting 400. Not quite qualified for the batting title right now, but I think he will be at the end of the year. But he was so bad in left field. I don't know if I'm going to be able to play him out there. His speed isn't good enough, and his range certainly isn't either. So he might be a DH long term. We'll see. But yeah, he's batting 400. I've kind of jumped around a lot. I'm sorry. This is a mess. Toto missed some time. He's been okay when he's been out there. The defense has not been as good this season as it was last year. Chirio's been phenomenal. On pace for 45 and 120, 7.8 WAR. He's been our second best player by WAR. Ki Hwang Yu he got off to like a mediocre start. March and April he was about a league average hitter, and then May and June he's absolutely erupted. So we love what we're getting out of him. The strikeout rate's still concerning, but the walk rate has bumped up. And, he pretty much put up the same numbers last year, if not a little bit worse. So there's reason to think that will sustain. Trey Snyder, kind of the last guy who made this roster, mostly because he was out of options, has bounced around pretty much everywhere in my infield, mostly third and second. But he's been fantastic. 120 to 1 WRC plus. On pace for 3.5 WAR. Really pumped for what he's given us. He's starting at second right now. Splitting time with Rivera. He's played a little bit of third when Word was at first. Cordero, he's only played in 21 games, but batting 390. 16% walk rate's absurd. And a strikeout rate under 20%. I don't expect this to sustain, but we'll take it while we're getting it. We talked about Corona. He's also been good in left field. So, probably our left fielder of the future moving forward, I would say, with Griffin kind of on his way out. But Cunningham has been disappointing. The fielding's been fine. 2.1 zone rating at shortstop. But, yeah, besides this last game where he boosted his average 26 points, he's been a big disappointment this year. He's still a good glove, so we'll keep him, but, probably not a long-term piece at this point. Unfortunately, Rivera could take that spot in the near future. Nate Harges, our backup catcher, has been fine. A good defender and, overall a solid player. Steve Boone just called up with Veen going down. In the bullpen, Munoz was not my opening day closer, as you remember, but Shivili was so bad. He had like a string of games where he was horrible. March he wasn't good. Then April he was good. I guess it was one game in March, so it's nothing. But May and June, or I guess May mostly, he was just absolutely horrendous. And the first half of May was even worse. And he had these 2 games in a row where he ballooned his ERA from 3.75 to 9.22, where he gave up 5 runs in 2 games in a row. This one was a heartbreaker. A 15-10 loss where they put up 5 runs in the 10th inning. This one wasn't much better, where they came back and put up 5 runs, coming back from a 1-run deficit. The Rockies did. So he's been bumped out of the closer's role for now. We'll see if he can get that spot back. But Munoz has been good. Philpott's been good. Ass. I'm just gonna call him Ass. That's fine. What's his story? 2031 draft pick. So we got him in a trade a couple years back for Betancourt, who, if you're curious, because I actually haven't checked in on him, spent 2033 with the Woo Sox, had 36 plate appearances and was good, and then this year he's only gotten 16 plate appearances. But yeah, we got him for Betancourt, and he's turned into like our relief ace in the pen. This strikeout to walk ratio, absolutely absurd, considering it's 35 control according to my scout and 40 according to the OSA. Yeah, we're super pumped with him. Gray Rodriguez was kind of our ace lefty before. He got off to a bad start. Check out his splits on the year. His April was really rough. Has been much better since, so we're happy with that. Ochoa continues to be like a really solid pitcher. And Ford Thompson, kind of settling into a role. Not a high-pressure role at all, but just a really solid lefty in our pen. Phil Cates hasn't been any good, but a lot of that's inflated by his miserable April. where he was kind of just an unpitchable mop-up guy. But he's definitely been better since. Um, Other guys who've been at the squad to this point, I guess we can go over. We already went over guys with the injuries. I mean, that's pretty much it for guys who have made an impact on the roster. We've had Shaka up. He got 4 games in the majors, but he's been good in AAA. That's about it for guys who have been up. We had Bentley up. He was horrible in like 1 game, but that doesn't really matter. Yeah, anyway, we're going to head to the... I don't even think I'm going to do the draft because there's no point in showing it on camera. Maybe I'll just go through the results, see who we picked, and then we'll go to the deadline, see what kind of moves we got, and then come back in just a bit. All right, jumping back in. All-Star game. We'll start. Here's the AL. Not too many surprising names. Or not too many noticeable names, I should say. Randy Rodriguez does make it as a starter for the Angels. Got a huge deal with them in the offseason, by the way, as a 34-year-old to start. But, I mean, he's living up to it, although he's not really pitching deep into games. But that's not really my business. So, on our side of things, Christian Little was our lone pitcher to make it. Having an insanely good season. Love that for him. He's going to get paid big time in the offseason. You will be the starting catcher for the NL. Having an awesome season for us. At second base, Jeanette will be there. Not starting, but in a reserve role. Jeff Ward will be the starting third baseman. Having an insane season. On pace for 9.1 wins above replacement. In the outfield, we have Jackson Churio. That is his 8th All-Star game at the age of 30, so pretty wild. I don't think he's missed an All-Star game. I would have to go look. Let's see. He had in 26, 27, 28, 29. Didn't make it in 30, although he had a very good season. 32, 33, 34. So, yeah, he's missed 1 All-Star game since becoming a full-time player. Pretty wild. And then, nice surprise, Zach Veen makes it. He just started at rehab assignment. But, yeah, he was killing it when he was out there. That is his... I can't even see because this is not oriented the right way, but maybe when I call him up, that will change because he's in the minors. So, where are we? We are 65 and 31. It's been a bit of a rough... We've hit a bit of a rough patch. I mean, June was good, not great, and then July we're 5 and 5. You know, the offense has been no worries here. The pitching has been a bit of a rough patch. 8th in earned runs. I guess 8th in runs allowed. 3rd in starters ERA, 13th in bullpen ERA. It's been pretty ugly. We don't have like any pitchers. Ford Thompson's been our best reliever, but besides that, we haven't had any pitchers having like stellar seasons. Philpott's, you know, kind of imploded the last couple of games. Haas is not like the same. Starting to walk a ton more guys. I think his walks per 9 was like in the 2s last time we looked, but now it's up to 4. Ochoa has been fine. You know, he's always consistent, right in that wheelhouse of the 2s and 3s. Never a big issue for us. Rodriguez has been fine. Called this guy Kevin Gann, fastball only guy really, and then Chivili has just kind of treaded water with this season he's having so far. But yeah, the rotation hasn't been an issue. Cooper's improved. Kelly's been awesome. Dallard and Little continue to do their thing, and Chris Wood's been really solid. So, really, upgrades we're going to look for at the deadline here are going to be in the pitching staff. You know, we're going for it this year. This is our last opportunity. Looks like this guy Wetzel's actually on the market. I don't know if he'd be an improvement for anyone we have. Could bring back old friend Camilo Doval. Wouldn't be bad. I wonder if they want anything really for him. They don't. Okay, so that's an option out there. This guy Mercedes looks pretty good. Having an awesome season. 34 years old. But they want actual players for him, so probably not going to happen. Eric Torres would be a cool lefty to bring in. I've looked at him a couple seasons Wow, what a season he had last year in 25 games for Oakland and Miami. Um, yeah, what did that? A 1.18 ERA. I think I remember looking in the at the awards and seeing him there. So we could probably get him. Just looking at the initial kind of what they would want in the hypothetical trade, we could definitely swing that. So Torres is a guy I would like to grab. So Torres and Duvall are kind of at the top of my list. Ian Villers would be cool. Did he wind up signing a 1-year deal? Wow, yeah. So I was kind of looking at him in the offseason, but he wanted like starter money. Um, they kind of want something big for him, so probably not going to happen with that. Tim Davis, not really a guy. Okay, so I mean, Cam wins. Ooh, really intriguing with a lot of pitches. Okay, Cam Wynn we could swing as well. So, um, I mean, who are we gonna get rid of here? It probably, I mean, Gann can be sent down. That's not a problem. And then, I mean, maybe we go to look try to trade Philpott. He's got 1 year left. By the way, I did change the free agency back to 6 years. So like Philpott would have been a free agent in 2 years. Now he's next after next season. Just for me moving forward. I know this doesn't matter for the save, but I did go and change that in the offseason. So maybe I go to move Philpott. Um, Rodriguez has been good, not great. I don't know if I trust him moving forward with his ratings kind of dropping. We'll have to see about that, but I'm going to do that off camera. We'll come back. First year player drafts today, so I'm going to run through that off camera as well. And we'll come back in just a little bit. All right, so moving ahead a little bit, we have our first trade of the deadline. We're going to flip Jesus Verdugo, who is a big international signing a couple years back. We signed for $1 million. Not nothing. But, a good player. Not really going to play anywhere but second base, probably. We're going to flip him for Eric Torres. They're going to eat 90% of the deal. Really good player here. We need a lefty out of the pen. I don't know where he slots in. He's definitely going to slot in for Gann at this point, but I think Rodriguez might be on his way out as well. But for now, we're going to flip him for Torres. Our fans like that a little bit, so that's good. So we'll send down Gann and add Torres to the roster. He'll probably slot in as my seventh inning man for now. Again, I think Rodriguez is probably on his way out. We will see. I think he's got 2 years of control left, but I do have my eyes on Cam Wynn as well as Doval. It would be an easy fix, but I don't know. He's not having the best year. He has been good since we got rid of him, but might go for something a little like maybe Rangel. I don't know. I kind of want to go for one of these one of these big names and kind of really go for it here. So maybe it'll be. I mean, what do they want from Mercedes? Do they still want Okay, this is doable. There's some guys on this list that I would want to give up. So if we started this off with adding Gary Rodriguez. Okay, so they would do Rodriguez for Mercedes straight up. So it's a half a season of Mercedes. And, we're going to get rid of Rodriguez anyway, so this makes perfect sense. And it makes sense for them, too. If they're not, they're getting a controllable reliever. I wonder if they would eat the whole deal, which would be really nice. Would they throw in, a prospect as well? Just out of curiosity. I don't think we're going to get any of these guys. Yeah, no. Hives is a nice player. Okay. About Alvarado, second base only guy. Okay, we're just gonna do this then. Mercedes for Rodriguez. Boom. Our fans love that. And there we go. We kind of just flipped our bullpen around. Added two guys we're gonna slot in at the back end for now. And this middle relief group looks pretty good, in my opinion. And Ford Thompson, he's a guy who can give us a couple innings or some short appearance. So we did have another injury. Zach Veen went down, fractured tibia a couple days ago, and he'll be out for 5 more weeks. I mean, that's fine. I mean, he'll be back for the playoffs, which is, the most important part. But yeah, his injuries are starting to rack up here, unfortunately. Um, you look at the last 4 years, he's had like no healthy seasons. I mean, 2032 was pretty good, but besides that, he's not going to play 100 games this year. That's 3 out of the last 4 years. So, um, the extension not aging terribly well, but he's still been a really good player. Um, I don't know if he's going to make Hall of Fame at this rate. Probably not. Unfortunately, if he was healthy, he probably would, because he still produces when he's out there. Connor Griffin's come back and been better, but not quite the player he was. His range has dropped as well, so he might just be washed up at this point, unfortunately. It's surprising because he hasn't had any real huge injuries. He had this big season, but um, yeah, kind of an unfortunate end for him here. But we're going to go up to the deadline, see if there's anything else, and then if there's not, we'll probably just jump back in if there's any kind of playoff push that we need to look at or anything. But yeah, that's probably the deadline. We'll be back probably around the playoffs. All right, so here we are, end of regular season, about to start the playoffs. We finished 109-53, first in all major offensive categories, and second in runs against, second in starters ERA, and 14th in bullpen ERA. Not pretty from the pen, but we'll try to make do. Without a couple key guys, Shavili out for 7 weeks. Ochoa tore his rotator cuff. Could be back eventually in the postseason, which we could definitely use him. And then Zach Veen had a setback. He'll be back in 5 days. He's on my opening playoff roster, just not in the lineup currently. I guess the big story, if you're following along kind of with the Connor Griffin saga, he had a miserable season. His walk rate just cratered, and his strikeout rate's at 30%. Just had a really bad season. I left him off the playoff roster. I don't really see where he's going to be useful. I mean, maybe you can play against a lefty, but they have all righty starters, and I just don't think he's going to make an impact on the team. So I'm leaving him off. In his place, like Trey Snyder, CJ Duncombe, and Steve Boone will make the roster. Steve Boone was incredible in 33 plate appearances, and I don't say that lightly, but obviously not sustainable for a full season, but he was good. Christian Little wound up finishing with the ERA crown. 17 wins, 2.25 ERA. Absolutely insane season. And one of the best contracts probably in baseball history on a 1-year, $25 million deal. And I remember a couple of years ago, after this season, I was like, yo, we should probably trade this guy. He hasn't, I don't know. It's sad to hold on to him. And, he's slowly improved and finally plateaued here at age 30, in his age 30 season. And, I mean, maybe if I continue on, I'll try to re-sign him. I'll move some money around. But at this point, I mean, no better way to end this series for Christian Little. So, love to see that. Jared Kelly wound up having a good season, not great. 116 ERA plus. The home runs were a little up, but everything else was pretty constant. So maybe just some bad luck along the way, but he was still good. Maybe not worth $40 million, but made all of his starts through 200 innings. Can't really complain about that. Taylor Dollard was awesome. 3.01 ERA, led the league in walks per 9 for the second straight season. This year was just way better for him. Although, similar peripherals, a few less home runs. We've got him for another season. Sorry, not 2 seasons. And then Jaime Cooper wound up putting in a pretty solid campaign, not as good as last year. His strikeout rate did increase quite a bit. But, probably just some batted ball luck. Overall, good season. The bullpen was a little shaky. Munoz was fine. Probably our best arm for the late innings. Mercedes wound up turning in a pretty good season when he came over. But Torres not really. I can't really say the same. But he's still here. Kevin Gann he didn't pitch much, but he's on my playoff roster. Philpott wound up being really good after I moved him to middle relief. Ford Thompson, really solid season from him. Mitchell Ass, really solid in 50 innings. And then Chris Wood as our fifth starter was really good. Just, not a guy who's going to make a playoff start for me at this point. So, with that said, let's go through the series against Nashville. I feel like we play them every year. Let's see if we can make it past the NLDS to the NLCS this year. Game 1, we win 11-4. Really good day for the offense. I realized I didn't go through any of the hitting. Now these guys did this season. So Jeff Word, 8.4 WAR. Only 9 home runs, but drove in 92 runs, 365 average. He was hovering around 400 at some points. 46 steals. We took him 34th overall. I was curious how he was going to play. I didn't realize he was going to be like this. Like, this is, one of the best players ever at this point. Jackson Churio turned in just another, he's good for about 5 to 6, 7 WAR a season. Pretty consistent. He's just awesome. 34 bombs, 104 RBIs, 293. Devon Jeanette, another really solid season for him. He continues to emerge as just a really all-star player. 25 years old. Pretty solid. 108 WRC plus, 4.2 WAR. Turned in a really good defensive season. And he got hurt for a little bit, but he was very good. No complaints there. Wolkow was really solid when he was out there. Again, dealt with some injuries, but overall, really solid season from him. Put up 3.2 WAR. Toto, really good. The defense eventually turned around to where he was a league average zone rating. Stole 22 bases. Spent a little time on the injured list, but 3.1 WAR, pretty solid. Luis Corona, a guy who didn't make my opening day roster, but wound up playing a huge role for me. 3 WAR, 144 WRC plus. Played a really solid left field as well. He's my left fielder of the future. Now with Griffin kind of being phased out. Zach Bean, talked about him. Hopefully he comes back from his injury 100%, but, it is whatever we get from him is house money at this point. But he was good when he was out there. He wound up putting up 2.9 WAR, which is pretty wild in 67 games, is mainly a DH. Then Greg Melvin, he was so bad in the field, but, with the bat, it was, you can't say anything else. 344 average, 2.7 WAR. Really good season. Trey Snyder wound up being really solid for me in kind of my utility infield role. Played all over the infield and was good in every spot. Hit quite well, 114 WRC plus. And he's kind of worked his way back into my plans for the future, so love to see that. Kason Cunningham fell apart with the bat this season. Just hit for no power. 25 extra base hits is pretty miserable. And, the average was not sustaining that kind of power and output. So, he dropped from about a league average bat to well below league average. He still brought it with the glove. So he's still my starting shortstop as of now, but a guy who we're going to look to replace most likely. Nate Harge, really good year as our backup catcher. No complaints with him. Talked about Steve Boone a little bit, and then CJ Dunk, I'm really disappointing, but he was a second-round pick back in 2031. Whatever. I'm not going to be that upset about it. I'll go through the draft really quick, just for anyone who's curious. We took this guy, Jeremy Shepard. Really good defender and a pretty solid bat. Hit really well in rookie ball, so he'll be up in A-ball. Steve Fender we took with our supplemental first-round pick, our first of 2. Another shortstop, infield type, pretty well developed for 19. He was 18 when I drafted him, now 19. We'll see what he becomes. And we took this guy, Dante Trotti, not a guy I would normally take. As you can see, his pitch mix is fastball, sinker, cutter. Has 3 fastballs and a changeup that might not develop, but the rest of his stuff was so intriguing that if he was to hypothetically add another pitch, he could possibly be one of the best pitchers in baseball. So, a lot of bust potential. Might not be anything, but a guy to throw a dart at. And then, we took some other guys, but it doesn't matter for the series coming to an end here. But we won 11-4 in game one of the series. Little was solid, give us a chance to win. And the rest of the rest of the bullpen did fine to close it out. We lose game two, and we lose Mike Ass as well. Ankle sprain, throwing is moderate. I'm going to have to put him. Maybe we could probably try to make it through the series with him in there. Kelly, not great in his first playoff start with us. And we wound up losing 3-6. The offense, not much going on. So we go to Nashville, series tied 1 apiece. And let's see how we do. Game 3, we lose 3-2. Tough game. Give up 2 runs in the bottom of the 7th. Dollard, really good start. No complaints there. And then it was our deadline acquisition, Torres, who gave up a couple runs. So we're going to keep our season alive here. Game 4 in Nashville. And we lose 3-2 again. And that's how the season will end. Cooper, a really good start. But the offense, I don't know what happened, but we just couldn't score in last 2 games and really the whole series outside of game 1. So that's how the season's going to end, and that's how the series is going to end, unfortunately. I was really hoping we can go out with a bang here, but yeah. We can go through kind of how this series went. Go here. So we started in 2023, won 62 games in our first season. And improved by 10 wins, 9 wins the next year. We started to show some kind of semblance of a major league team at that point. And in 2025, I believe we're in the playoff hunt, and we finished 82-80, above 500, and never really looked back after that. 2026 had some great luck, and we're able to put up 96 wins. That was kind of an anomaly. I guess we can go back and look at that team really quick, but I don't really remember. Oh, so that was Zach Veen's MVP season. Jackson Churio's rookie year as well. And then, Ryan McMahon, Ezekiel Tovar, Drew Romo. It's cool to look at these guys and kind of see. It's fun. But yeah, after that, 2027, 2028, missed the playoffs. But 2029 on, kind of cemented ourselves as a dynasty. 2032 was a down year, but won 89 games and won the World Series. And in 2030, we also won the World Series. So, in, 12 seasons? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 seasons, 2 World Series, and 6 playoff appearances. Starting from, this garbage team in 2023 where, Chris Bryant was really good, but outside of him, it was like Ezekiel Tovar, Ryan McMahon, and that's it for the hitting. And then, I don't even think I want to look at the pitching, quite frankly. But I kind of do want to look at the pitching. So, yeah, we had one guy put up close to league average pitching. Yeah, that was such a bad season. Oh my God. But yeah, we went from that to a dynasty in a couple seasons, and that's how the series is going to end. Now, let's check out really quick before we wrap this up. So Servin was our catcher, and then Roma was our catcher, was that 7 seasons. Led us through the beginning of our dynasty, kind of from a mediocre team into a really good one. So yeah, he was a fixture. Chilcott wound up having a good season for Oakland, by the way. Pretty solid. And last year he was good too. And then first base, it was Taglia for a couple seasons while we were bad, and then Chris Bryant moved from the outfield into the infield, where he was awesome for us in the save. No complaints at all. He had 1 bad season, but you look at 2023 to when he wrapped up with us in 2028, he was a really good player. Definitely worth the contract that they wound up giving him in this save. Probably not in real life, but whatever. Then we went to Wolkow, and then Griffin played some first base while Wolkow moved to third. the Connor Griffin thing, this is it's an interesting story because we drafted him number one overall back in 2024. It took him so long to get to the majors. I thought he was going to flame out around A ball in 2026, but wound up turning into a really good player and had some awesome seasons. But yeah, the last 2 years have just been really disappointing. And yeah, he's going to work his way out of my future plans. He's got one more year until free agency. Um, second base is kind of a shit show for a couple of years. We had McMahon there, moved him to third. I guess he split time evenly these 2 years, but then we moved Tovar over there. He was a mainstay on our team, still in the league. Yeah, I mean, he won MVP in his second full season, which is like one of the big surprises of the save. And then, after that, kind of consistently declined back to the player we probably expected out of him, and then flipped him to Chicago, and the rest is history. Kind of had some decent years, but never the same player after that. But yeah, I mean, he was kind of the first guy that we had who was a real player on this team. McMahon, he was a fixture on the team as well. A lot of Rockies fans, our save Rockies, probably wanted me to keep him around as a career Rocky, but after this season, he kind of priced his way out of my plans. But yeah, he was really good, like this whole save as well. Like, lived up to the contract that he had. And wound up playing through that whole contract with us. Like Braden Holcomb, forgot about him. I thought he was going to be a good player after this season, but never really turned into one. Still with LA. We had Dansby Swanson for a couple of years. Yeah, he was pretty solid for us. Had a couple of nice seasons. We really had Adames at short. He also had a couple of good years. Honestly, our shortstop positions, despite not having a ton of guys you would expect, it was pretty good throughout honestly the entire save, because Tovar was good when he was over there. Adames was good. Mooney was awesome. When he was healthy, but yeah, he was. I don't know if we had any seasons where our shortstop was below a 3-WAR player, besides last year with Cunningham, but yeah, I mean, Tovar was like a 3-win player every year for us when he was in there at short. Yeah, that's an interesting story. The shortstops for Colorado. And then left field is kind of wasn't the best position for us. We had Bretton Doyle there the first year, who had a couple of really good seasons for us. Like this 2025 year was awesome. But yeah, then we kind of cemented Veen Churio kind of playing the corners for most of the time. Churio moved to center for a couple seasons while we had Blyson right. Miguel Blyce, by the way, since he was kind of a fixture in our lineup for many years, has turned in a pretty good career here in Detroit for 2.5 seasons. Or just token contract extension. Trent Grisham, I forgot he was here for a season. Yeah, he was really no good. Parker Meadows was here. He stayed with us for quite a few years. Yeah, he was. Yeah, we wound up non-tendering after this season, but he was pretty good as in a bench role and kind of a starter for a couple seasons. Besides that, I mean, we kind of kept some consistency on this team. Ben Krebs, wow. Yeah, he was like a 3rd overall pick. Sorry, no, he was, the other guy was the 3rd overall pick. I forgot his name. He was a 10th rounder. I thought he was going to be a pretty good player, but never really turned into it for us. I think he had one good year. Yeah, his rookie year was good. His second year was solid. Third year was good. But then we flipped him to Toronto because he had some value. And that was for Christian Little, yeah. So that wound up working out well for us in the long term. Yeah, I mean, we can go through the pitching, I guess, but, at this point, probably going to get out of here in a couple minutes and wrap things up. So, yeah, we went from, Austin Gomber as our ace to, Christian Little as our ace and Jared Kelly here. But, yeah, Jaime Cooper, first-round pick back in 2027. Again, took him a little bit to make it to the majors, but once he did, he wound up being a really nice player. Yeah, I mean, a couple times I thought he was going to flame out. Even in AAA, he was fine, but not great. And we called him up and has been a really solid pitcher for us. So that draft pick wound up working out. Here's we can run through the draft picks after, too. I don't blame anyone if they stop watching, but I'm going to reminisce for a little bit, I think. Dean Kramer was like our first ace. He was just like a fine pitcher. Put up 3 WAR this season. Yeah, he was pretty good that year. Almost a league average pitcher. Dean Kramer. He was fun. He was fun while he was here. Brad Keller, God, he was so bad. Austin Connor, Graham Ashcraft. I thought he was gonna be like our next ace, and just was so bad. We sent him Miami, and he was actually pretty good, but yeah, that was funny. The Graham Ashcraft ace era. Randy Vasquez. We had Logan Webb, who lasted like a half a year here. I thought he was gonna be a nice player for us. Was just horrible. I went up flipping him for Miguel Bleis, I believe, if I remember correctly. Yeah, so we got him and Selvridge, who didn't make the majors for us, but Miguel Bleis was a good player. Kodai Senga was awesome. We actually had him in the minor leagues last season. Didn't really mention that, but no, that was last year, Albuquerque. But yeah, he was our real first ace when we got him. He was fantastic in this first year. While we surged to the playoffs, we didn't make the playoffs, but we wound up coming pretty damn close. He won 20 games total. And then 2027, we did make the playoffs, and he was a big part of that. One of the best pitchers in baseball, in my opinion, that year. 222 innings, 5.4 WAR. And, 2028, he was fine, and 2029 kind of fell apart for us. But he still put up 3.2 WAR that year, so not bad at all. He's still hanging around in Major League Baseball at age 41. Dan Reinwald, one of the big disappointments in the save, and one of the biggest misses on my part. 4th overall pick in 2026. There were some good hitters there. I wound up going with Reinwald. I thought he was like a high floor, pretty decently high ceiling. He was number 7 prospect at one point. And I mean, he had like one good year, I think, if I remember correctly. Yeah, 2029 is pretty good for him. But outside of that, he was just wasn't the pitcher I thought we were getting. He's hung around in the major leagues since, but never really emerged as an ace for us. Tanner Witt, another guy. We drafted him 9th overall. He was never a top prospect, but hung around like the back end of the top 100. And, he had a couple of good years as well. His first season with us was really good. And this relief year with us also really solid. But we wound up non-tendering him after that year. And, the injuries were kind of the big thing with him. He had the torn UCL, which was the big one. And then he had this one before he got drafted. But yeah, he blew out his elbow this season, and then he had the torn flexor tendon. He just dealt with a bunch of other injuries, and unfortunate career for him. But he's made a good amount of money, I guess, in the save for whatever that counts. Randy Rodriguez. I mean, we got him for I think nothing back when we got him from Jacksonville, and came over at the deadline in 2026. I forgot. What did we trade for him? I don't think it was much. It was this guy, Eric Bautista, who's with St. Louis. Looks like he's not actually a bad player. But he never made the majors for Jacksonville. Oh, that's Eduardo Rodriguez. Oops. Guess he was a good pitcher for us for a couple of years. Yeah, he had this good season. Where the heck was I? Randy Rodriguez I want to look at. So yeah, he wound up having a really good season for the Angels this season after signing a massive contract. But he split time as a starter and reliever. This season starting, he was really solid. This one not so much. I moved him to the bullpen, which is why his numbers look better. But as a reliever, there was few better in baseball while he was with us. He just unfortunately he got a late start to his career at age 25. But, 35 years old now, still has a good future ahead of him. Doesn't really get hurt at all, so I see no reason why he shouldn't be a good pitcher. Ford Thompson, one of the biggest, most upsetting stories. He won Cy Young this season, 2030, in his really rookie year. And then the next year was not as good, but he was still a serviceable pitcher. But then this year blew out I think it was his shoulder. I think it was labrum. Came back in 2033, was just awful, but, you know, has a bit of redemption arc here in 2034, where he was a really, really good bullpen piece for us. I would like to see what that injury was. So the bone chip one wasn't as serious. That was 6 months, but, he came back and is fine. But it was a torn labrum in 2032. That really did him in, unfortunately. And, the shoulder injuries are always devastating in this game, especially the control. Because he was a pretty good control guy, I believe. He was like a 55 control guy, and then, now he's a 45, which, a big difference there. But, he was a 20th round pick. Like, he won a Cy Young. I call that successful every day of the week, for sure. So, yeah, I guess that's about it. I mean, we've had a lot of good relievers come in and out. Devin Williams was here. Justin Lawrence was a guy who had a long career for us. Went to Baltimore in 2029. I don't remember what we did with him in 2027. Did we just non-tender him? What happened to him? Did he just reach free agency? Oh no, I non-tendered him. Yeah, but he had a long career with us and was really damn solid. Like, never really had a bad season until his last one. I would take all these seasons from a reliever. Saved 31 games this season. Yeah, he was a fun pitcher when he was here. He had Jalen Beeks, Randy Rodriguez, obviously. AJ Minter was here. Alvarado. Alex Lang was a good pitcher for us as well. Gavin Stone, Henriquez. What happened with him? Oh yeah, he had an injury. Yeah, I think he had the labrum thing too. Let me check out. Yeah, he had the torn labrum. It was only one injury, but that he never pitched again after he was done with me. In the majors, at least. I'm sure he pitched in some other levels. Yeah, but never made it back to the majors, unfortunately. That sucks. But that's what happens. But anyway, that'll wrap up the series, I guess. Here in Colorado. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed all that happened, and enjoy the Nashville series. You can go back and watch the Twins one. Want something else to watch? It was a Giants one in 2023 that was a little short, but this was my longest, not most successful, but a really successful save coming from nothing. Twins one was more of a retool than anything. That one we were kind of good the whole time. This one took a little bit, but worked up to a dynasty here. So thank you for watching. And we'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.